Hey guys, it's Rocola here. I hope you have been having fun with Monster Hunter now. I certainly did. I've been playing for about a month now, and these are some of the things that I found are quite useful to know in the game. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Starting off at number 10, you don't have to use the same set of equipment. In Monster Hunter now, there are many different sets of equipment. You have the starting ladder set, then Jagra set, Kulu set, Pookie set, and so on. What you need to know is that there are no bonuses in using all the equipment from the same set, except that it looks good having the matching outfit. If you want to increase your hunting ability, however, you should mix it up using the equipment that makes more sense to you. Usually that means maximizing the skills that are useful to your playstyle. So for example, if you use a melee weapon, then you probably want equipment that gives you the lock-on skill so that you can focus on the monster's weakness points. On the other hand, if you are a ranged weapon user, then you want to avoid using equipment that has the lock-on skill since you won't be able to use it when hunting the monsters. As we all know, materials and zenny are precious in this game, so you really should try to be as efficient as possible with spending your resources. Not to mention, using the right equipment really does make a big difference in your ability to beat the monsters. Next at number 9, the time limit on large monster hunts is 75 seconds, so focus on attack. Given that potions are limited in this game, you will naturally want to reduce the potential damage taken, and that means focusing on increasing your defense. However, there is a time limit, and without a strong attacking attribute, you won't be able to hunt the monster successfully. In this game, having a strong offense is the best defense. Having the ability to inflict significant damage to the monsters allows you to be more patient, and with patience you are more likely to avoid getting hit. And since you are not getting hit anyway, you can focus on increasing your attacking power. Having said that, it is still worth investing in your defense attribute since you don't want to risk getting one hit KO too often. At number 8, if your game is slow or laggy, change the graphics and FPS settings. Monster Hunter now looks fantastic at the best graphics and frame rate, but that requires a lot of processing power from your device. Unfortunately for me, my phone starts heating up like a microwave when I use the very best graphics at 60 frames per second. So in order to have a smooth gameplay, I have to tone it down. From my experience, I have to either lower the graphics to medium and use 60 FPS, or I can stick with very high graphics but running at 30 FPS. You should play around the settings and see what works best for you because they do make a big difference. Next, at number 7, use loadouts to quickly switch out equipment. In the equipment screen, you can find the default equipment loadout and you have 5 loadouts to use. A loadout is basically a safe configuration of your equipment, and these are very useful because you will often want to use different equipment when hunting different monsters. Using a weapon that deals an elemental damage to a monster that is weak to it will increase the damage. For example, when I hunt a great Jagras, I would use a weapon with fire or poison element, and when I'm hunting Kuluyaku or Anjanath, I would switch to a water elemental weapon. In this game, it is important to give yourself as much advantage as possible to exploit the monster's weaknesses. And that means maximizing your equipment when dealing with different types of enemy. Loadouts make these constant switches a lot more convenient than having to re-equip stuff every single time. At number 6, we will talk about equipment just a little bit more. Clicking on a material tells you where to get them. Whenever you're trying to upgrade equipment, the game tells you what materials are required. Clicking on the material tells you exactly where you can get the material from. This is very useful because you will then know where to look for the materials, whether that's from a certain large monster, a small monster, a gathering point, or from daily quests. In general, I find that the quality of life features in Monster Hunter now are excellent, so if something feels like that can be tapped, then you should tap it just to see what comes up. At number 5, you can favorite equipment. In the most recent update, you now have the ability to favorite equipment. What this does is that it will show you a bookmark on the materials that your favorite equipment needs for the next upgrade. This is helpful if you urgently need to clear some space from your item box and you don't want to accidentally delete materials required for your next upgrade. Speaking of item box, there is a fast way to delete your materials by entering the number instead of tapping on the plus button. In the Manage Materials screen, you can tap on the number 0 next to the material that you want to delete and enter a total number directly. When your item box starts to become frequently full, then this is a great time saver as compared to holding down the plus button. Next, at number 3, you can have 3 attempts at the paintball monster. When you use a paintball on a monster, it simply means saving it so that you can hunt the monster later on. This is useful in scenarios where you saw a monster but you just cannot hunt it right away. Either you don't have the HP or maybe it is not convenient for you at that moment. When the game first launched, a paintball monster would escape if you failed to hunt it once. But in the recent update, the attempts limit has been increased to 3. And there is a warning dialog box to tell you that it is your final attempt, so you better be prepared. It is a massive improvement on what is supposed to be a premium item. At number 2, you can save a monster for later by tapping it and not closing the app. This method is not using a paintball. Basically, you can tap on a large monster and hunt it later as long as you don't close the app. You can use other apps in the meantime or sleep your phone so long as the game does not restart. This is pretty much a synchronous paintball, meaning that you cannot do anything else until you exit the hunting screen. I find it useful whenever I don't have enough HP and would like to save it for later. Another note is that from my experience, holding the monster on the screen does not prevent Palico from paintballing monsters. In fact, my Palico has paintballed the monster that I'm currently on screen with several times before. And last but not least, at number 1, you should know the spawn timing. Unlike Pokemon Go, the large monsters in Monster Hunter now do not randomly spawn frequently. The large monsters are spawning in batches and the batch refreshes every 3 hours. The spawn time starts at 0 UTC. The biomes also refresh at 0 UTC, but the biomes only change once a day. So for example, if you're in Tokyo, Japan, which is UTC plus 9, then the biome refresh happens at 9 AM daily. The large monster spawns would refresh every 3 hours from 9 AM onwards, so 9 AM, 12 PM, 3 PM, and so on. As for the gathering points, they refresh 3 hours after collection. So if you collect the materials at 8:15 AM, then the next collection will be available at 11:15 AM. Knowing the spawn timing is very useful as you can plan your hunting trip accordingly. I would usually start around 30 to 45 minutes before the spawn refresh so I can hunt 2 batches in one trip. It is also a good thing to know that I don't have to worry about the monster spawns before the spawn refresh since there won't be anything new before then. And before we close this off, here's a few bonus mentions that you probably already know, but if you don't, then they might be helpful. The first one is that you can zoom in and out of your hunting screen, and also you can fight the monster in either portrait or landscape mode. The adjustment you make will be safe, so you can try to optimize how you want to fight the monster. Second is the referral. Referring a friend gives you some nice freebies. The 3 paintballs and 5 potions are certainly quite helpful. And one last thing is that you can also adjust your equipment screen so that it can either show more of the equipment options or show more of your character. Alright, that is all from me. I really hope you find this information helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think about them, and feel free to share if there's stuff that I miss out. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, have fun, and have a nice day.